Pulling out all the stops on the main flyer. Since I took a step, had that same fire. Ricky said it best, he's not dying. Coins coming with the problems, piling. We just do our best, we just keep trying.
Come on, I just...
There is a massive beef tearing through the South African hip-hop scene right now, and it's pitting former brothers against each other in this super public, super messy battle. We're talking diss tracks, Instagram lives, accusations of theft, the whole 9 yards. Trust me, this isn't just about the music, this is deeply personal.
And it all really just exploded with lines like this one. Producer Kindly Next dropped this on the very same day his former collaborator, Lucasraps, released a new project. Talk about drawing a line in the sand. And that quote, it was like throwing a match on gasoline. But the thing is, that fuel has been pooling for years.
So that's the big question here, right? The one we're really gonna dig into. How does a partnership that was helping define a whole sound in the industry just completely fall apart in the most spectacular way? We're gonna follow the timeline, we'll look at the claims being made, and we're gonna piece this whole story together.
To really get what's happening now, you gotta understand what came before it.
We have to rewind. Because before all the diss tracks, before all the drama, there was this incredibly powerful creative bond. A brotherhood, really, that looked like it was ready to take over everything.
So at the center of all this, you've got two main guys. On one hand, you have Lucasraps, the artist with all the buzz. And on the other, you have Kindly Next, the producer behind the boards, who was, he was the guy who basically built that signature sound everyone was loving. They weren't just colleagues, they were a real team.
So, check out this timeline. In 2021, the team up begins. It gets serious fast. By 2022, Nick Shosh is even living with Lucasraps. But then, the cracks start to show. About 3 years ago, something happens that breaks the whole relationship. And that brings us right up to today, where this whole thing is just playing out for everyone to see in the music. And this is the part you really need to get to feel the weight of what happened next. Kindly Next said it himself, this wasn't just some business deal. He saw Lucasraps as a big brother, as family. And that word, family, is what makes all the accusations that are about to come out so brutal. Okay, so let's flash forward to the moment this whole private mess just blew up in public. After keeping quiet for years, Kindly Next goes on Instagram Live and just lays it all out there. He detailed exactly what he says went wrong.
And this quote, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? The shock, the hurt. He's basically framing this as something unthinkable, something you just don't do to someone you called your brother. He's setting the stage, letting everyone know that what he's about to drop is a story of betrayal.
So what was it? What was the big stab in the back that he's talking about? The thing that could shatter a bond like that? Well, according to Kindly Next, it boils down to one simple, ugly thing: money. And boom, there it is, the bombshell accusation, straight from his mouth. Kindly Next claims that Lucasraps was collecting his producer royalties. And he's not saying it was a mistake or some kind of accounting error, no. He's claiming this was intentional right from the very beginning of their partnership. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what he's saying. First off, he thought they had a 50-50 split on royalties, pretty standard stuff. But he claims he found out that Lucasraps was allegedly taking the whole pie. He truly believes the plan from day one was to exploit him. He also mentioned this change in attitude, this superstar behavior. That all happened right before he made the discovery that ended everything. So all that history, all that bad blood that's been simmering for years, well, now is boiling over. We're in the middle of a full-on musical war, and the diss tracks are flying. And what's fascinating is how this battle is being fought. On one side, you've got Lucasraps with his track Without Me, basically saying, y'all need me. But then Kindly Next and now Blocky come back with a totally different story. They're saying, dude, you needed us. They're arguing that his sound, his success, was never his alone to begin with. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more intense, in comes Blocky, another huge name and a former collaborator. And he is not pulling any punches. That line right there is a direct shot. He's basically saying Lucasraps' whole image is a performance, and everyone behind the scenes knows the real truth. Yeah, and Blacky's not just throwing insults. He's adding what he claims are receipts. He's backing up this whole idea that Lucasraps couldn't do it alone, alleging that he and other people literally had to write songs for him. He even says his feature on the deluxe album was just to give Lucas some clout.
So his track, Karma, it's not just a diss, it's his side of the story, and it lines up perfectly with what NX is just saying.
So, look, it's easy to see this as just some celebrity drama, right? But it's way, way bigger than that. This whole beef is pulling the curtain back on the music industry itself, and it's forcing some conversations that are frankly long overdue. I mean, think about it. This whole mess perfectly shows you the tension that's always bubbling just under the surface. It's got everyone, fans, other artists, talking about the real stuff. Who gets credit? Who owns the music? What does loyalty even mean in this business? It's like we're all getting a very public, very raw lesson in the ethics of the music game. Which brings us to the final massive question. Is all this good for the culture? I mean, is this public airing of dirty laundry actually a positive thing for South African hip-hop? Is it creating accountability? Or is it just tearing things apart, creating wounds that might never, ever heal? That's what I'll leave you to think about.